Hey, it's Manny. So I started playing around the Headhunter build in the open world. It can be a lot of fun. It hits for over 20 million, so you're one-shot in elites. In this video, I'll go over what I put together and also the pros and cons of this, because it's not perfect. It is fun, but there are some issues with it. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and ding that notification bell so you know when there's new videos. And if you're looking for someone to game with, you can find me and other players in the Militia Discord server. The link is in the description below. All right, everyone, let's get down to brass tacks. So our build. This is the build I went with. It's a 4-piece aces. There is another build, a different build. It's a little hard. I think it's a little harder to put together. So that's why I went with this one. It's very easy to put together and it's still fun. So for our main rifle is the White Death. You want to have maximum headshot damage and obviously as high as you can get, right? For third attribute, you can actually go with damage to armor or damage out of cover. Damage to armor might be better simply because oftentimes enemies are hiding behind cover, so you're going to be hitting them in the head when they poke out of cover. And for talents, Vindictive is terrible, but I've already re-rolled, I believe, headshot damage, so I'm going to have to farm for a new one. You want something like Ranger or Optimist are pretty good. I might go favor Optimist over Ranger for this, just because it's a 5-round mag, and every round you fire is basically going to be increased to DPS. The secondary weapon is going to be Nemesis. This is what you're going to use to prime your targets. The rest of it is, like I said, it's going to be a 4-piece aces. The reason we go 4-piece aces is because we're going to get a 15% marksman rifle damage and a 30% headshot damage. Also, the 4-piece has Dead Man's Hand. It's not perfect, but it actually gives you a 30% amplification to your damage. So that's a 30% damage multiplier once you flip 5 cards. Every time you do a headshot, it flips 2 cards. So after 3 headshots, you actually flipped. You can get 4 shots, 3 shots, 2 shots at that 30%. If you get 4 shots and then you flip another 4, you can actually keep this rolling if you get lucky enough. For the headpiece, we're going to put a headshot damage mod in there and going to actually reroll our secondary attribute to headshot damage, max it out. Everything's going to be headshot damage. Try to get your core attribute as high as you can. The good news is with aces, there's only 2 attributes. You have a core and a secondary, and just make sure your core as high as you can and then throw headshot damage on it. Perfect. Same with the gloves. We're going to this is actually god rolled. I believe I either bought this or the holster from the vendor, the clan vendor, and it actually already had a 15% weapon damage on it, so I re-rolled the secondary attribute to headshot damage, and it's god rolled, and as you can see, 15% headshot. So my gloves and holster are god rolled. My knees and helm, I need a little mask, I should say, need a little work. So this is 10.6, but you know, just keep getting something a little bit higher and you can easily re-roll the secondary attribute. Much easier to get than a lot of the other pieces. Now for our brand sets, our chest is going to be the Chainkiller, which is Walker and Harrison Company. This is not a bad piece I have right here. It basically has 13.2% weapon damage. I re-rolled headshot damage. I believe it was crit hit damage, but we want headshot damage, our modest headshot damage, and obviously we have perfect Headhunter. Our backpack is going to go with the Providence. It is a 15% headshot damage. We're going to re-roll one of the attributes to headshot damage. And for talents, you're going to want Vigilance. I've actually got max rolled headshot damage. My weapon damage was pretty good, so I re-rolled the talent. I don't remember what it was, but I re-rolled the Vigilance, which is great because most of the time we're going to be far enough back that we're not going to be taking damage, so this is going to help out. I could do something well at repair skill. Maybe crit hit chance would be nice here. It's the only other stat I think I could use. And then headshot damage as a mod. I definitely need better headshot damages. I can go up to, it'd be nice to have a couple 10% ones, but this is what I have. For our skills, decoy is very important because this is going to get us out of combat, or I shouldn't say out of combat, but this is going to get the us to not be shot or hit any longer, and therefore vigilance can get triggered, so we can stop taking damage and actually trigger vigilance and get our 25%. Now for your other skill, you can actually go revive hive, which I have here, or you can go with maybe an assault turret, which will also help. This is also, throw this out, they'll target it often. So that's basically it. I don't really care about the pistol, I never use it. And for specialization, we're going to go sharpshooter for the increased headshot damage. There is another headshot build which doesn't use aces. Basically it would use, I believe, it would use Punch Drunk, which I have here. It would use the Dodge City Gunslinger holster, and then you'd use Perfect Finisher, like an Orbit, or even a regular rifle, regular pistol with finish on it, and then go with as much headshot damage as you can. It's a slightly different build. It's not the one I'm using. This one I feel is a little bit easier to put together. It's not as versatile, but it's a little easier to put together because of the 4-piece aces, and you can max out these aces pretty quickly because there's only 2 attributes. With this, you'll notice that my stats, I have, with my White Death selected, I have 316.1 headshot damage. Obviously crit hit and crit hit damage just aren't very good. So this is the stat we're looking for, 316. Now that we covered the build, let's actually talk about how we use this. So the first thing you need to do is you need to prime it. And what I mean by priming is you need to get a headshot kill. So there's a couple ways I do this. One, I can use White Death and actually shoot a red, because they're easy enough. I can headshot a red, get a headshot kill, and prime it just like that. Now, since we have the world difficulty set to heroic, oftentimes there are no reds, and this is where the Nemesis comes in handy. As you can see here, there's no reds, so we're gonna have to fully charge the Nemesis and prime the Headhunter. Now, once you have Headhunter primed, that's systematically taking out all the enemies. Don't worry about misses. Misses are fine because it doesn't eat up the actual Headhunter. If you hit a body shot, it will kill the enemy, but it'll eat the Headhunter shot, and you'll have to reprime. Oftentimes, you'll have to pull the Nemesis back out and prime it up and get a headshot. That way, you can continue to one-shot all the enemies. You'll notice I try to stay back as far as possible so that I don't take any damage, and vigilance is always on. But if you start to take some damage, don't hesitate to throw out that decoy. Now, you saw I was running around with versatility on my White Death. If I have Optimus, I have to be careful. I often reload too quickly, and I'm actually going to hurt my DPS by not using that full Optimus on an empty clip. In outdoor activities such as this one, where you're really a good distance away, this build really shines. Now, let me show you where it has a problem and a deficiency. So I decided to pick up a bounty. Unfortunately, it's inside a building. Now, I'm using a high-powered scope, which is going to be difficult in a tight situation like this. In this first part, I got lucky because no one charged me. They all stayed back. So I was able to actually snipe them from behind the doorway here. Next issue is anytime you're dealing with Black Tusk, you're going to deal with Warhounds and mini tanks. Neither one has a head. It's not Buddy and Lucy, so they don't have heads, so there are no headshots. And as we saw, this build is built entirely around headshot damage. And once again, here's a part where this build really is deficient. So I came up the stairs, there was a Chungus there with a machine gun, I tried to get away, and then a Warhound comes down the stairs and shoots me in the back. So it really is fairly deficient in close quarters combat, but it excels at long range distance. And there you have it. I like to consider it a fairly honest opinion because I gave you pros and cons, what it's good at, what it's bad at, and it can even one-shot the enemy bosses for CPs. You can clear them pretty quick. So just a few more things to think about. If you have enemies that have helmets, you can't one-shot them in the head. It's going to take 2, and you'll have to reprime because you'll lose it once you hit them in the head. Sometimes it's better off shooting the body, taking them down, and then repriming it after that. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button below and leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. If you'd like to see more content like this, then please smash the subscribe button. And you can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Maniocrity, where I stream Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, agents, happy hunting.